Jugwave. It's Misha Drolling on Will Tugama. Are you well? It's your friend the Wren, back again. This morning we're going to have a chat about OBOD. What is OBOD? The Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. Brought to you by some wonderful Virginia flake and a cup of Earl Grey. Alrighty. So, what is OBOD? It is an order. It is a Druid Order. It is a modern Druid Order. It is a neo-Druid Order. Call it what you will. Some people have asked, some questions in the past about the order and what it's all about. What do they do? What do you guys do? What's this thing called Druidry? And most recently, my friend Chris asked about what's the material like? What's my what is OBOD in a nutshell? I like that, in a nutshell. It reminds me of that cracking open the nuts of wisdom. Chewing upon the nuts of wisdom. To crack something open. To investigate, to set it free. Very bardic, poetical metaphor. So the Order of Bards, Ovates, Druids is based in the UK, but they have groves and seed groups and members throughout the entire world. And a big population of them, obviously, in the UK, pockets here and there in Europe. I know it's pretty big in Australia and New Zealand, and throughout the States. Because we're so large, I feel that the OBOD community is spread out and not very... It doesn't have the same flavor as you would unless you visit the UK and you visit like a summer camp or an OBOD camp for like Lunasa. You don't get that sense of community in the United States with OBOD. You find most people that do it are taking the course and they're solitary. They might form a seed group and never last, or they form a group and it dissolves, and there's a reason for that. And I think one of the reasons is we're disconnected from the land here. We're not a part of the ancestral homelands, I guess you could say, that, with them being in the UK, they have sites, they have places that call to them that are related to their spiritual heritage or lineage, and where this thing comes from. Even though it's not some sort of Neolithic thing, they can go to a Neolithic site. They can go to an Iron Age hill fort. They can go to nature there, and that nature is nature. It's the same, same footprint, if you will. So they're more connected to the land there, where people here are using OBOD or other forms of modern Druidry to help them connect personally with their spiritual roots. I think also one of the downfalls, I've mentioned this before, is their sense of community. They take an approach of, we're all one, we're all connected, we're all part of the world community, we're all connected no matter where we are, as long as we reach out and put that vibration out there that, we can connect with each other even via technology. And that is a wonderful thing. Someone shouldn't have to feel alone. You can develop friendships and all sorts of wonderful relationships with people that you might never meet through technology. And that's great, because you could be handicapped and stuck in your home. So That is good. That we have the technology, we use it as a tool. We don't let it rule us, but we can use it to help us. So there's that. But on the other hand of that, I would say that there's not a large focus on tribe, and it's just me here because this is my tribalism coming out with Shintracht. Is I am a tribalist. I believe it all starts with family, and the family is the extended family, and then there's the tribe, and then the people, so your community. So it's all very tribal in a traditional sense, not a modern sense, but both. You would say traditional and modern because they're woven together. So enough of that. What do they do? OBOD, they have different camps you can go to. They celebrate publicly. Druids have been celebrating publicly in the UK for the last 250 years, maybe close to 300 years. In one form or another. The order OBOD's beginnings come from another order, the ancient order of Druids. They have Enkerstus Morhun Andrui and Andrui Uyach Brathicus. And they were a part of the original foundation in 1717. At the Apple Tree Tavern. By the same gentlemen who were responsible in the same year, 1717, for creating the Grand Lodge of England, Freemasons. So, many of the founding fathers of Freemasonry who developed that charter were the same gentlemen, same aristocratic gentlemen, that were responsible for creating the Mother Grove, of which OBOD traces its lineage to. But I don't really want to get into history. That could be a video for another time, which is a wonderful video. It would be great. There's much to say on that. So, these modern Druids get together, and they celebrate, in OBOD, the eightfold year. They have the solstices and the equinoxes that they acknowledge and celebrate, and they also celebrate the agricultural festivals of Samhain and Imbolc and Bealtaine and Lunasa. And that's what they do. It's not what I do. Now, I've been with OBOD since '98. They came out with material for a study course. You pay for the material to be shipped to you. It's printed and blah blah blah. You pay for the course. Bardic course, and then you take it, and then it's optional. You can pay for your Ovate course, and you pay for your Druid course. And you're assigned a tutor or a mentor, so like a pen pal, or somebody you can have communication with about, what's happening with your lessons. Of which I lucked out because my tutors were amazing. Wonderful letters and email transactions and such. And I met them. So when I went overseas, I met them. They're not your teacher, and you can't really say they're your mentor or your tutor, but they're a guide. They're There's someone who has gone this way before you, and they're like a friend along the path. So it's great that you can, bounce creative ideas off with them. You can talk about which number you're on, and your thoughts about them, and they can be there for you and offer insight. Now, the dodgy thing here is, how do I talk about the material without, revealing the druid secrets of the material? Yeah, no, it's you don't want to spoil or ruin someone's experience that's never done it, that might be doing it right now or consider doing it. You would like them to go into it, fresh. You could look at the entire lesson plan of Bard, Ovate, and Druid as basically an introduction into modern Druidry. To use I did the course and now I'm a Druid. Well, when do we define ourselves as Druids? Some people right off the go is, I'm on the Druid path, I'm a Druid. Some people complete the course. Some people, like myself, complete the course twice and still go, yeah, I don't know how I feel about calling myself a Druid. Like, I can call myself a modern Druid. I've done this material. It's wonderful stuff, this, that, and the other, but do I call myself a Druid? Like, in perspective of who the Druids were? It's hard to say. All depends on how you define things. For me, I'm definitely a Dri. That concept of the traditional type of role that the Druid serves his community, fulfills. But that's different, because I'm talking Gaelic polytheism, Shinshrak. So in OBOD, there's a lot of material. They have printed versions and audio versions now. Before, when I took the course, the first time, it was just printed material. So we did all the material. And in the Bardic grade, there's a focus on poetry. There's a focus on, the Order's history and basically almost like an introduction into paganism. And they work in a very, they work with the circle, opening and closing. They have that concept of modern Druid stuff with ritual that, you would be even familiar with within Wicca. You would be familiar with the basic layout, like the architecture, the structure of it. There might be some things that are different, but you'd be like, oh, I totally get this. The concept of north is earth and west is water, east is air, and south is fire. Plugging in animals or colors or the seasons to these things on the wheel of the year. They basically work with stuff like that. In the Ovate grade, you kind of work with the concept of you work with herbalism, and you work with Ogham and trees and divination. It's kind of like witchy in a way, has that feel. In the Druid grade, you work with philosophy a lot and psychology and kind of all along the entire journey of this material, there is a large focus on self-discovery, self-exploration, working with nature, working with elements. But I can say the new material, especially because I have I have the old stuff, but I have all the new stuff as well. I can say that the new material, and I have the audio version and the written form. And because I'm a reader, it's hard to say which one I would pick, but I think the audio stuff is wonderful because you get to hear people's voices. You get to hear it's how do I say? You know, it's we're people love to read, okay? But in old times you went to a Shanaki, or the Shanaki came to your village or to your household and told you a story. We're a listening people. We're a storytelling people. It's part of our culture. It's part of this tradition. So when you can listen to the material, it's like you're sitting and then they're there and it's being done to you in a way. And you don't feel like it's necessarily being done to you. That's kind of like Catholic Mass. You know, sit, kneel, stand up. It's being done to you. You feel engaged. You could picture yourself in a room full of your family, your tribe, and they're all there together, and then it's being delivered, and you're all a part of it. So the audio material is nice, you know, has little snippets here and there of you know, a song, and they also have their meditations that I think Philip has separately. There's like maybe 4 or 5 different meditations he has, and those are wonderful. Well, Philip's background is in, I think, is psychology, psychosynthesis or psychotherapy. And it really shines throughout the work because if you do the work or allow the work to happen internally, like, you know, it kind of catches up with you down the road, that you feel changed by it. You feel that you've gone through something. Their growth has happened. I'm not really sure what else I can say about OBOD. They allow for personal freedom on the path. If something doesn't work for you, say that you read one of the lessons and you're like, you know what, I read it, I'm acknowledging that I read it, I took some notes on it, or, you know, this one doesn't speak to me, I'm not going to do this, and you could do that to the whole course. You could study the course. You don't have to do the course. So they allow for that freedom, for you to kind of weave it into your own tapestry. And, you know, it's highly encouraged that you share your creative works, highly encouraged that you share your opinions and your thoughts about the material, because that's how they grow. That's how OBOD keeps growing and changing and staying current, is everybody keeps sharing their experiences, and I don't know, it's got a lot of positivity. If you want to get a good feel for OBOD, all you have to do is follow Philip Cargam on YouTube, and he's been doing these videos called Tea with Philip. And I'm telling you guys, they're little gems. There's tiny little nuggets of joy. He has such a peaceful way. He's like a child with no ego. You know, he's not afraid to play. There's an innocence. There's a youthfulness about him. It's joyful. Even though in his delivery of his topics are sincere and honest and serious, his nature still comes across through these videos as someone you just love to have a chat with, of which I was lucky enough to have a couple. And hopefully someday I'll have that again. But the OBOD community in general can be a bit hippie-ish. Can be a bit, neo-pagan and kind of, carefree. And some of them do have that attitude of, well, I can do what I want, and who are you to tell me that I can't do it this way? And that's where I kind of draw the line. But you find your niche of who your people are, who you kind of chat with, who you get on with. You guys want to see what OBOD material looks like? That's OBOD material. This is all of it. This is all the printed material and the audio. So that's a lot of work. Well, it's been about 20 minutes. I'll cut this off about now. I hope you guys have a good morning. Hope I gave you a decent impression about OBOD. If you have more questions, I could always do a follow-up, in an OBOD part 2. I like OBOD. I like what they do. I like where they're going. The concept of eco-responsibility, being, personal responsible for, your planet and your environment, and sacred grove planting trees, and I think it was Carl Jung or Campbell that spoke of dreaming the myth forward. You have to think of, if you're in OBOD and there's material that, is wishy-washy that you're getting on with, how would you do it yourself differently? And then share that so others might do it your way. Or maybe you know something more historical or more traditional and offer that up so they can add it to the archives. Be well, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day and be excellent to each other. Slangafol.